Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Playmakers. What's up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be running through all the injuries you guys should keep your eyes on heading into the weekend and for Monday Night Football. So I'm going to go through all the players who are good to go, questionable, doubtful, and then who has already been listed as out this week. While you guys are watching, if you're enjoying the content, just hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Really helps me out. And then if you have any last minute start sit questions, you guys can drop those down below as well, and I'll respond to everyone. But I'm actually going to start it off with the Giants injury report because they play on Monday night, so they haven't actually listed their official, who's questionable, who's out, all of that stuff. Right now, it's looking like Saquon and Kenny Golladay are both going to be out. They have not practiced this week. And then when we're looking at Sterling Shepard, he has been limited this week. And then Kadarius Toney didn't practice until Friday, where he was limited. So out of those guys, Shepard probably has the best chance to play, but we'll see, in the next few days. But then when we're getting into the players who are good to go, Baker looks like he is going to give it a go on Sunday. He's been dealing with that shoulder injury, only ended up missing one game. Honestly, this doesn't change a ton for me. I still think they're going to run the ball a ton, and I don't have a lot of faith in Jarvis or Odell. They just don't have a very nice floor, and I don't think their ceiling is that high either. Another guy in the Browns, Nick Chubb, is going to be good to go, coming off his one-game absence with that calf injury. He is going to be back. Kareem Hunt is still going to be out, so that does kind of give Dearness Johnson the RB2 role, which could make him, a bad flex play in deeper leagues. I know I'm starting him in like a 20-team league, but you just don't have a lot of options there, especially when my running backs are Kareem Hunt and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Moving on to the players who are questionable, Devonta Parker is still dealing with that shoulder and hamstring injury. He's missed at least a few games with that, so we'll still have to wait and see. I think Jalen Waddle is a solid start this week. Odell is dealing with a shoulder injury. Like I just mentioned, I don't really trust him in lineups unless you're just really, really desperate. T.Y. Hilton is dealing with a quad. I don't love him in lineups either. I think Pittman is the clear number one wide receiver for the Colts. Then we have this backfield duo from the Lions, Deandre Swift and Jamal Williams. Swift is dealing with a groin injury. Jamal Williams is dealing with a thigh injury. I expect both of them to go. They've really been on and off the injury report this entire season with those same injuries. Another running back, Alex Collins, is dealing with a groin injury. I believe he was dealing with the same thing heading into week 7, so I would expect him to play this Sunday. Two guys from the Patriots, Kendrick Bourne and Jonnu Smith, both dealing with shoulder injuries. Neither player is super fantasy relevant, but if you're in super deep leagues, you may have to plug them in. Next up is probably the highest profile player in this video, and that is Austin Eckler. He hasn't practiced the last 2 days, dealing with a hip injury. Like I mentioned, he is currently questionable, so we really just have to wait and see. If he doesn't go, he doesn't have a super clear handcuff, and it's probably just going to be a major committee behind him, but hopefully he is able to give it a go. Then we have Rob Gronkowski, still dealing with that rib injury. I've talked about this multiple weeks in a row. It kind of does feel like this is going to be the week he plays. He did participate in practice, so that is a good step. Plus, this is an important game against the Saints, so they probably do want him out on the field. Then we have Deontay Harris, who is dealing with a hamstring injury. These hamstring injuries are all over the place. I don't love Harris as a fantasy play, but if he's out, it may open some things up for these other Saints wide receivers. Then we have a Dak Prescott dealing with that calf. I think there's a decent chance he doesn't play in this game. Maybe looking like 50-50 right now, but it does seem like they're treating this very seriously. They don't want this to be a lasting thing throughout the season. So if they think, sitting him out one more week can make him healthy for the rest of the season, I do think they'll do that. So just a wait and see approach. Obviously, if he's out, that's a boost to Ezekiel Elliott, and that's definitely a hit to CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup. We have one player who's listed as doubtful, and that is Corey Davis. Really just a big hit to that Jets offense. The only player that I was comfortable starting this week, so I would just be avoiding that entire offense, especially since you have Zach Wilson out. And let's talk about the players who are out, starting off with Dawson Knox, dealing with that hand injury. He's been a great tight end to start off the season, but unfortunately he is not going to be out there. Another tight end, Eric Ibron, is out with a hamstring injury, and this isn't as much about Eric Ebron because he was never a fantasy relevant player, but I do think this is going to open things up for Pat Freiermuth. He may see his biggest snap share on the season, and we already saw him see a lot of targets in their Week 6 game, so maybe this is another opportunity for him to take a step forward. Then we have Julio Jones also dealing with a hamstring injury. I mean, this season has just been brutal for Julio Jones. If you have him, it's got to be just rough this season. He's barely played. When he has played, he hasn't played well. I don't really think this changes much. A.J. Brown is still the clear number one, and then I don't trust any wide receivers behind him. Then we have back-to-back players with ankle injuries. First off, it is Miles Sanders with that ankle. Looks like Kenneth Gainwell is going to be the number one. I do think we're going to see Boston Scott take some touches as well. And then potentially Jordan Howard, maybe get in there a little bit, maybe as a red zone guy. We'll just wait and see. The only player I'd want to start is Kenny Gainwell, probably as like a flex option, maybe low-end RB2, high-end RB3. And then the last player with that ankle injury, Antonio Brown, he has been ruled out. They have a bye in week 9, so I think he'll be ready to go by week 10, but he will not be playing this week against the Saints. That is going to wrap it up for this injury report. Like I mentioned earlier, if you guys enjoyed it, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. But thank you guys for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.